I want to introduce you to one of my favorite insects, the 17-year cicada. So named because they only come out every 17 years. And though my first experience with them as a child was not the best and involved my sister throwing them at my hair whilst I ran screaming, my experience with them just a couple of years ago for the second time was absolutely beautiful. And this all starts with a rather lengthy development period underneath the ground, where these nymphs spend 17 years of their lives feeding on the xylem of tree roots. But on spring evenings, every 17 years, just as the soil is starting to warm, these nymphs crawl through the ground and emerge on the surface. The nymphs use their powerful fossorial forelegs to dig their way up through the soil as they emerge covered in dirt from their subterranean journey. The forest floor begins to look like it is moving as waves of nymphs make their way from holes in the ground, which are visible for weeks after they have emerged. They begin to climb nearby vegetation to find safe places to develop. It seems anywhere you look during a 17-year cicada hatch, there are nymphs covering every available surface. And once they do find a suitable place, they enter into the last molt before they become adults. A pale-colored adult emerges from the nymphal exoskeleton, leaving behind the exuvia or cast skin. The white thread-like structures arising from the exuvia are the exoskeletal lining of the trachea, because in insects, even the distal parts of the airways are lined in cuticle. These pale-colored cicadas soon turn brown as their exoskeleton hardens and darkens in a process known as tanning. However, for those cicadas slowed by infection, they are unable to fully emerge from their nymphal exoskeleton before the tanning process begins, and their wings harden while still inside the nymphal skin and are deformed. Not to worry though. Cicadas are amazingly hardy insects, and you'll even often find some that have narrowly escaped predation, walking around with most of their abdomen missing. The sole purpose of the comparatively short adult lifespan of just a few weeks is to reproduce. And the males use a large sound-producing organ in their abdomen called a timbal to attract the females. Males often aggregate in large groups to intensify their song and attract more females. And the mating song of these males sounds like this. The receptive females answer this loud chorus with click noises generated by flicking their wings. A successful courtship leads to successful mating and genes carried on to the next generation. Though less impressive than the cicadas themselves, but just as interesting, the ends of tree branches shriveling and falling to the ground in midsummer is the result of females ovipositing or laying their eggs in the ends of these branches. The females will lay hundreds of eggs. The larvae then hatch, burrow their way out, and fall to the ground as they endeavor to tunnel through the earth to feed on tree roots for another 17 years.